With all the news rolling out over the layoffs within Warner Media, which ultimately did impact DC Comics, um, it seems like 2020 is the year of DC in maybe all the wrong ways. Dan Didio getting released, certainly the change to distributor, some of their moves to digital. The business is transforming. So let's take a look at now what we know, but more so kind of some of the reactions that we're seeing online and some of the takes. I've got to get those downvotes in. So here we go. Hey everybody, this is Perch. As the story becomes more clear, we learn about more things and more comes out. A couple kind of facts jump to the surface. First off, despite the fact that you're seeing a lot of names, you're seeing big numbers banding about, and you are seeing people continue to use words like bloodbath. I think I just got under Rich Johnson's skin as he defended his use of the word bloodbath by saying other people were using it, so he would use it. It's just always a fascinating. It's like this is the argument that my 7-year-old uses when she's done something wrong. It's like, well, other people did it. It's always weird to see people, especially people in news, use that approach. At any rate, if you were following kind of what was going on with Time Warner, and a bunch of people have pointed out that this was predicted, that Warner Media and through the acquisition of AT&T and everything else that they said at the time there would be consolidation. And I mean, maybe people thought that consolidation meant like, I don't know, that people would share offices or there'd be, flowers and cupcakes on Friday. I'm not sure what people thought consolidation meant, but if you haven't worked for a big corporation, consolidation means one thing. It means job reduction. That's what it means, and that's what it meant. So a lot of kind of big editorial. We covered that yesterday of some of the bigger people at the executive level. We've heard that there's definitely some changes made to the collectibles market and to DC Direct. And again, that is very much expected. When you have Warner Media, there were a bunch of different business units that handled collectibles and licensing and kind of that physical product distribution. And you had to know. In fact, there's a video like 5 months ago from me saying they're going to collapse all these things together, and they are. And that's meant that people are losing their jobs. Maybe some of the wrong people. When I say wrong people, I mean people who maybe really understand the products that are getting made, and the company is going to be poorer for losing them. DC makes a lot of money off of merchandising and collectibles, and so it's will they be able to retain it if they collapse things? It's always a risk when you consolidate within a company. It's a risk that you're going to lose some of the magic that a division had. So we'll see how that plays out. Generally speaking, there's been a bunch of stories up and down about Jim Lee. Jim Lee, in fact, the most, I think, disingenuous part of some of the reporting was that Jim Lee was a big negative impact to Jim Lee. He's in trouble, and then he somehow talked his way into a promotion. Just very, very bizarre if you're trying to follow along on that. Jim Lee's role, again, seems evolutionary to where it was going when Dan Didio was released. And so being an ambassador to DC Comics, with DC being a brand that more business units within Warner Media want to use, it makes sense that that Jim Lee is the runner. One of the stranger ones is this comment that, rumor is that the company is looking for an esports person to come in to be part of the company. And some people attach that to the editor-in-chief role that Bob Harris had. I think that's a bit of a stretch to make that jump. I mean, maybe that's where they're going. Who knows? But I think people are misreading that one. I think DC is clearly putting ideas into digital and into more fan engagement and all of that kind of stuff. So bringing in somebody from the esports world makes sense in that context. I think people jump to the conclusion that this was an editor-in-chief role. I'm not sure that's what it's going to be. Maybe that would be an odd pick, but could be. But in general, and then we're hearing that, there'll be a reduction in titles. This is, again, short memory time, because if you go back to the changes with 5G and a lot of comments, which were never verified, that 5G would see an explosion of titles and more books and putting out different versions of characters and legacy and all the rest. And then they pulled back from that. They pulled back from that in March. And so to now, people are saying, oh, there's DC is going to have a reduction of comics, maybe focusing on more of their core characters. Yeah, this isn't new news. If that is truly what they're doing, and I think all indications from the solicitations and who they're lining up for projects and everything else, that is what you're getting. So I think that there's some new news here with the layoffs. There's some people obviously who've lost their job and feel bad about that. And we're going to get to that comment in a moment. But then there's other parts to this that were where DC was already heading, and now people are looking at it with new eyes and viewing it as new news. I think that's a little bit misleading, and I think it helps if you take a deep breath, take a step back, and kind of look at where DC is going in general. One thing that seems very clear to me is that DC as a comic company, they're trying to transform the way they do business. And they're doing it very publicly. I think Marvel is probably doing a lot of the same things just quietly. And there will be people who are really unhappy about that, who do not want the business transformed. They want the business that they know. And I get that. Everybody wants safety and security and things to not change, but that's also not a reality of life. You know, everybody gets older every day. Life changes every day. And so, you know, you can cling to kind of what you know, but ultimately you either get on board and try and adapt and stay relevant, or you just kind of, you know, fall screaming into the pit. And that's you're seeing a lot of that play out. So this is where I'll get some downvotes here, because this is where I have a very hardened belief. And as I posted the videos and I got some comments, and I did a clip for Wes's channel over at Thinking Critical. This is just my line to draw. I understand the perspective of people who come in and say, hey, these guys were mean on social media. They insulted fans. They insulted all the rest of that stuff. So I have no pity for them. I'm glad they lost their job. I'm celebrating. F them. They deserve to be unemployed and homeless. And I just find that take horribly bizarre. And I'll tell you why. It's proportionality. And I think I was having a little chat with Wes. He identified the word as well. Here's the thing. These people are out there. Did they do, in many cases, immature, bad things? Did they do stupid stuff on social media? I think that Andy Curry is probably, I don't want to say legendary, but posted stuff constantly that was obnoxious and poor form and insulting and not good for the brand, and probably did deserve, you know, through that alone to lose his position, let alone how he managed Vertigo. I wouldn't want somebody in my company behaving like that, and I wouldn't keep them employed. And I think that's you know, it may be a right result, but I can't, at the same time, I can't feel joyous about somebody else's bad news. It's not like Andy Curry was walking around and you know, robbing houses or you know, shooting people in the streets or anything like that. He was being an obnoxious jerk on social media. Now, the appropriate response for fans is not to support him. Don't give money to his books. If you get somebody who is insulting you to your face, is being rude and obnoxious, don't give them your money. That's the best thing you can do. It feels like a very passive thing to do. I think for some people, they want to be more activists. They want to get out there and make sure that people know that they're unhappy with him. But that's more about your own ego, your own kind of amusement. The best thing you can do to people who are obnoxious is don't give them your money. That's it. I think that of all the people laid off, they're very different individuals there. Bobby Chase is a sweetheart, is a wonderful person. I think that there's a lot of different personalities. And so as a whole, I feel bad for people who have lost their jobs. I have empathy. Some people have called that a fence-sitting position. It's not a fence-sitting position. It's saying when somebody has problems, I have empathy for their situation. Now, that doesn't mean I agree with some of the behavior and the tactics they've done. I don't. I also agree that some of these people probably were not in the right job. Andy Curry made himself a pest. And as an ambassador to the company, and some, you know, if you're in an editor, an executive editor position, you are an evangelist for your company, and you need to do better. So, you know, unfortunately, but Keep in mind, he was not let go for obnoxious tweets. He was let go as part of this overall, riff and firing. There's a good chance that the people who laid him off had no idea of what he was tweeting. So the problem still remains. But I'm on Twitter and I'm watching this painful. I mean, I just get a headache thinking about it. Where some people are celebrating Curry's demise, as well as other people at DC, as being a blow for good. Meanwhile, there's some people who are posting tweets saying the thing that bothers them most about the layoffs, is that it's giving Comicsgate a win. And I see that, and I just want to walk away from all this. To be honest, to see people losing their jobs, who are now in a state of unknown. Even if I don't like what they do, I have some empathy for somebody being in that position. To say that the worst part about somebody losing their job is that it gives a different group on Twitter something to be happy about. I can't even wrap my head around that. That's insane. The worst part about a bunch of people losing their job is a bunch of people losing their job. That's the worst part, not if it owned one group or the other. That's insane. I think that the comics industry is definitely in a state of transformation. I hope that in looking at this, people use it as an opportunity to try and stabilize their positions a little bit, try and think a little bit about how to become better ambassadors to fans. We all do need each other. I've been saying that now, till I'm hoarse for the last year. Comic companies, publishers, people working in comics need fans. You need them. You need their attention. You need their support. You need their wallet. Insulting them and going after them is a bad thing to do. It's self-defeating. That's ultimately, more than anything else, that's what it is. It's self-defeating. For fans, you should vote with your wallet. You should say what you like, what you don't like. Absolutely, you can do all those things. But if you find yourself getting off on somebody's misfortune, it's just, and I understand those impulses. You ever drive down the street and some guy cuts you off and speeds past you, and then a couple of miles down the road, they're pulled over by the police, and you're like, haha, it serves you right. It's fine to have those impulses. I get it. But on some level, you got to walk it back a little bit and also not use a handful of people. And it is a handful of people, a relatively small percentage, certainly the people who lost their job, who are jerks on social media, to go on a campaign, to justify a campaign of saying the entire company and industry and everything within it must die. That's being ludicrous. You're certainly welcome to do what you want, but that's being silly. I think what we're going to get out of this certainly is, an interesting, shaky DC. I think everybody should just brace themselves, because we're going to clone this with Marvel before you know it. This absolutely is going to happen with Marvel. Now, Marvel and Disney tends to be a little bit more buttoned up about these things, so it may have a lot more may happen behind the scenes and quietly. I think some already has, because there have been some layoffs there. I think DC Fan Zone is coming up here relatively soon. A lot of people are questioning why they did this before that event. Well, easy, because they want to set the narrative at that event of what the new company is going to look like. And they own the stage. It's not like random people can come up and make comments and embarrass them. They get to set the record however they want to, and they will. It's an interesting time in comics. I think, and again, I know some people do not like this position, but the best thing you could do, support the people who are good to you, support the projects that you like. Don't fund the stuff you don't. And then just leave it at that. That's not fence sitting, by the way. That's not a middle position. That's being really confident what you like and don't like. And don't let kind of whatever your personal kind of thing that you have going on infect everything else in your life. You will enjoy a lot less. I'll put it to you this way. There are people out there that you do like, that make products you like. When you choose to really obsess over the bad people, the people who wronged you, you're giving the people you like less of your time and less of attention. You're actually hurting them. They need your money. They need your attention. They need your support. The people who are doing wrong by you, those are the people that need you to ignore them. Talk out about them if you must, but certainly keep your money to yourself and give it to the people who are good. That's the fastest way you as a fan can transform the industry. And keep yourself sane in the process, not get involved in all these other projects. And by the way, while I'm at it, I'll just say this too. It benefits you to at least attempt to figure out what the other, somebody who disagrees with you is thinking. There's two types. There's people who just rail against whatever you say because they're obnoxious a-holes. And then there's people who just genuinely like something different. I think finding common ground with people is rewarding. It helps. You can't do it with everybody. You certainly can't do it with people who are trying to attack you or calling you names or labeling you horrible things. There's no common ground to be found there. That's why you take your money and you walk and find people that do. This business and all this is a hell of a lot more fun when we can debate the various pros and cons of things and like what we like. Anyway, I'll say it again. It's sad days for the people at DC to lose their jobs. Even if I don't like some of the individuals in particular, I still, my heart goes out to people who lost their employment. I know that triggers a lot of people, but it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments section. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications if you like that kind of thing. Follow me on social media. Let me know if you need help. And thanks for listening.